are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends.
Welcome back to another episode of Professional Hippies. We're your hosts. Colton, that's me. That's what my mother calls me. And this is Dylan. We're the Professional Hippies. Week in, week out, we try and bring you a diverse range of topics and or / guests who we regard as experts in their field. The disclaimer for this episode is I wouldn't claim to be an expert in much. If I can think what I would define the field that I am an expert in, I'll
I'm a
let you know.
field dumb, so see how I played that.
I do. I like it. So welcome back to another episode, y'all. Hey, we missed you. And Dylan, shall we get into the thick of it, as they say?
I guess. Yeah.
I'm not looking for skim milk, buddy. I want the whole cup of what is going on with that house, man. That video you sent me, I'd be lying if I said I didn't use a slight rib cramp. It's not my pain. It's your pain. I'm just here to enjoy it.
I mean, we just got to the point where it's like, all right, I know, because, all right, in the St. Pete area, they put basically on every single person's house out there, they put some sort of like mark or like, hey, your house is going to have to be checked before it's ever sold type of thing, right? Like you, basically, you're going to have to go through some sort of permitting inspection before you can sell your house. And that's really just to protect buyers down the line. But so it would have to go through this process anyways, eventually. But I started getting everything done, and then I was like, all right, before we start putting drywall up and everything, I should go ahead and get permits and inspections done, right? And so going through the permit process is probably hell on earth anywhere. I understand why now, like contractors charge you so much to go through it, because it's literally just going through filing paperwork manually, going in, sitting there, then you sit in front of somebody and then they review it, they look at your house and then they go, why? They go through, why is this done? Where is this done? Whatever. So I go and get the process done, and I start, it goes through the process of like, all right, your house is here, this is what it looks like, is this room, this room, this room, this room, okay. Or what are you looking to do with this room? Well, I'm raising the floor and expanding, whatever. And they go, well, this is a sunroom, or it's a carport or something. I was like, no, it's not a carport. It's a sunroom. And he was like, oh, well, whoever did that never got a permit before. So, that was done in the 60s. So he's like, all right, so what is that? Is this being torn? I was like, that wasn't there anyway. And he goes, so what's supporting that? I was like, there's a beam going across, and he's trying to picture it. And I finally just take a picture out, and I was like, this is what it looks like. So going through that process. So you
have to basically take pictures of everything, including stuff that you wouldn't think you'd have to take pictures of.
Didn't have to. I just so happened to take the pictures the other day while everything's gutted. So he knows I'm doing repairs and everything. Right. But now, because this side room is kind of technically considered still a carport, but someone eventually turned it into a sunroom. Now it's not going just from pulling a permit for doing repairs on the house, but now pulling a permit for adding on this other portion of the house. And then not only that, I think anyone that's listened for a little bit knows the fiasco of the bathroom that I had and working with those guys in the last time. They never closed out the permit for the bathroom from last time. So I have an open permit on the bathroom from last time. And he was like, well, that could be a problem because you have to close out the permit for this. And I go, hey man, I just want to let you know that bathroom remodel is gone. So you can actually erase it if you want. That's no longer there. Like that problem is gone.
That's not a problem.
It's gone. That problem, if you thought, hey, you know what?
This problem didn't happen, that problem would be a problem.
That problem would be a problem. New bigger problem. I was like, you know what? I did it. I did what probably you would have said anyways and tore it all down. And I just tore it down.
Telling you about getting your flat tire fixed when the fucking axle's blown out. It's
like,
what?
I go, hey man, if you're the inspector, you want to just come inspect? Like and come look at it and just tell me. I mean, we're doing this from the desk. We can just do this from the house, And so I told him, he's like kind of looking at me, and I'm like, I'm a baby. I'm fresh. I'm fresh to the womb. All right. You tell me what I got to do, and it's going to get done. I just don't think I know what you're talking about. That needs to be done, right? Because I go, if it's my choice, house is already done. I got renters in there already. So I'm trying to do it the right way. Don't punish me for it. So
Because the whole time this shit's going on, you got a mortgage you have to pay.
I have a mortgage I got to pay. At the same time, too, you have to keep. There's all this other like keeping it within the minimum requirement of the 49%. Because now if it goes over 49% or whatever, then it
kicks in the new code.
Kicks in like it just becomes a hella more expensive thing. Like FEMA's not going to cover Like you have to. I don't know what the whole. I was trying to understand it, and I still kind of don't understand it. But he was like, we got to keep what you're going to be paying for everything under the minimum, so everything gets covered. So that flood insurance covers everything basically.
It's because if it goes over a certain amount, then all the new codes kick in. Your sidewalk bullshit. You're
basically tearing down the house, or you have to raise your home. That's
right.
It's like you raise your home because now it's going to be a flood problem. You got to raise your house, or you got to tear it down. Like so, we're trying to keep it under the 49. So he's helping me out, and he's like, trust me, you're not the first one I'm having to do this with. Like everyone's home has gotten screwed over and everything with that problem, right? And so he's helping me out. And then so we kind of figure out one problem with the side room. He's like, all right, the side room, and he goes, if you're going to be doing the remodel for that we'll do this. Got it. So then he's going through more. He goes, we got that problem solved. He goes through my paperwork and he goes, like literally just the audible breath out. And I'm like, what? And he goes, I see here when it asks how much of your drywall did you pull out, you said all the way to ceiling. I'm like, yeah, man, it was plaster for the entire house. So like it's from the 50s. So if we're going to tear out some of it, let's just tear it all out. And he was like, all right, well, if you would have done just 4 feet, which is what, normally people would do for the floods, or just above that, we can call it like kind of like a flood remodel or a flood fix. But because if you go floor to ceiling, now you're doing a full remodel. And now a full remodel. I have minimum requirements I have to show for full remodels because you are redoing everything compared to what the minimum amounts I go for just 4 feet.
Yeah. And
I was like,
I wrote the wrong thing.
Hey man, you know what? My bad. I tried, I bought a house. I thought I could do what I want to do, and Mother Nature said no. So didn't know I would be sitting here with you at some point in my life, but here we are. So he was like, all right, looking at it, let me see what I could do. And he had to go talk to a manager. It was like, let me go talk to somebody of what I could do.
I'm about to do something illegal. Let me go consult someone else.
Go consult somebody. So he's like, all right. And then we went wall by wall, because I was like, well, not every wall is toward floor to ceiling, but most of them are. And he was like, all right, well, is that one? Is this one? And I was like, well, that one's gone. That one is like 4 feet. And in my head, it's only because we haven't gotten to it. But I'm like, yeah, that one's still at 4 feet. That one's only at 4 feet, whatever. Going through it. And he goes off and he comes back. He's like, all right, well, we can put it as is like a temp. I don't know what he called it, but like a somewhat full remodel, basically. He goes, because you still have your foundation, you still have all the walls up, meaning the framing and stuff, and you still have the roof. You're not replacing the roof from this flood. You're not doing a full remodel. You're doing like a somewhat remodel. Like you're putting all new drywall up, basically, for the house. And then that cuts down the cost of doing everything from a minimum. He goes, I could do this, and made the numbers all
pencil whipping.
Yeah, and then he goes, but because of that, you're now over the minimum based off of this requirement of what I'm putting in for you. You go over the minimum for St. Pete's minimum of 25%. So we keep it under the 49, but now you're over the 21 or 25. Now you got to do this other packet of stuff. And he goes, you could come in tomorrow with the packet. I'm going to keep all this stuff. It turns out whoever you meet with is your inspector going forward. Like that's who you're communicating with going forward. So he's been awesome. He was awesome, but this is one thing after another that I'm learning, right? And the other thing was because of that carport, whoever didn't pull it, basically if you make it a livable room, like a livable part of the space, because it was a step down, right? Because it was an old carport, you have to raise the floor so it's the same across the board, right? And so if you do that, then you have to go through the permitting process and da 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 da. And so because they had like French doors there before, which blocked the house from that portion of the house, they never had to go through the inspection. And he was like, well, if you go ahead and put French doors, and I go, hey, that's long gone. How that's that problem gone. So now I go, let's go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off and let's deal with this problem. Because the floor is already raised. It's done. Like you could go inspect it now if you want. Like it's ready to go. And I go, I expected this morning. I didn't fall through. Good. And he laughed at that. So I'm like, there's the portion of the door that we could have put French doors in, gone. The floor is already raised. I mean, even the codes like where the laundry room is, because the laundry room's still going to be a step down. Even he goes, okay, where the washer and dryer are, there has to be like a little platform that the washer and dryer have to sit on that is at the same level as the rest of the house. And I was like, why? Like, what's the difference? And he goes, it's code blah 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 blah. You know, that's what it has to be. And he goes, and I know the way he's saying it. He's like, I don't care what you do after that, after the inspection. You know, it's just when we come to inspect it, it's got to be at this. And then
Dude, that's like that Tampa house that had. Remember when you came out of the back door, that shoddy little rail.
Yeah,
The thing with that was borderline drywall screws holding in a safety rail going down steps. And it's like I get it. It's the letter of the law, but
well, even so too with the AC unit right outside. So the AC unit with the new codes in St. Pete is if the AC unit has to be repaired or replaced from what was caused by this flood, then you now have to raise the AC unit to whatever the level would be if you had to raise your house, which is 7 feet up in the air. You know, it's
no shot.
and I was
you have to put your AC on the roof.
Basically. So and he goes, but if you have repaired and it's working, come inspection, and then a few months down the road you decide to replace it, you can replace it at the same height. But it has to be working, and the same one's got to be working come inspection. So I don't know. I'm gonna get my guy working on it. Be like, I don't need it to work. I just need that thing to turn on. When like don't worry about the compressor. Don't worry about any of that. Just have it turning when he. That's all we need.
There's a washer over there. Take some parts from that and make that fan spin.
I just need it to spin. Whatever you got to do with it. Like when he goes and flips it down to cool. I don't care how long.
He goes outside and you just flip it real quick and you run inside in the bathroom. You turn on the hairdryer, make it hum. Just
like
I just need a high amperage buzz.
Get it going. You know, it's just I don't need it to work. It just needs to be running somewhat, you know, when they get there, and then I'll replace it. But
dude, what a bird's nest.
It's just like he goes, well, you got to raise it. I was like, I plan on raising it anyways because I don't want it to be at the same height it's gotten touched at.
What's all this costing you?
But I'm not going to raise it to 7,000. I mean, 7 feet or whatever. I mean, in the end, it's probably. I mean, with the quote I'm getting from this guy to remodel the whole house, and he's doing a great job. I mean, I'm looking at everything. I'm keeping up with the project. That that alone, labor and everything is going to be $40K, and then that's not counting all supplies and stuff, you know.
But yeah, what do you gotta come out of pocket? Like, how's the insurance FEMA shit work?
Well, that was the whole thing too with the insurance. Of I gotta make the insurance whole because I didn't replace exactly what they wanted me to replace last time. I put all the money in the house, but then it put it towards exactly what they wanted me to have replaced last time. Like they wanted me to replace, for example, the what they got me money for the first time around from the flood was like money for to replace all the flooring. But it was original 1950s flooring, right? Like I saved that floor and then I took that money, put it towards the bathroom, and I put it towards other things. Well, I proved I put it towards the house, but because I didn't replace exactly what they wanted me to, they weren't going to cover that cost again this time. So I ain't getting much money from the flood. And that's talking about kitchen cabinets and stuff like that too. So and I told him, I'm like, I didn't go out and buy a new car. I didn't go out and buy new stuff. I didn't go on trips. I have all the receipts putting it towards the house. Yeah, well, because we gave you money to replace the kitchen cabinets, you didn't replace the kitchen cabinets. We're not going to pay you the money for the kitchen cabinets this time. You know, all that.
Oh,
Yeah, I got screwed by my original public, whatever
the
it
guy
is.
that's supposed to be on your side that
Yeah,
everyone
it's supposed to be
says.
on the side and got screwed over by him, right? And so, because he told me, hey, like, I can get you all this as long as you put it towards, you know, if you put it towards the house, you should be fine. Da, da, da. And then come to find out, that's not how it is, right? And so, this other guy I started working with that my realtor recommended to me, he's like, hey, let me get you this guy. He might be able to help you get some more money out of it. Because this guy, like, I guess he'll sue insurance agencies. He's like, I seen this guy go to court for people to get stuff, and I got him everything he wanted. He went through the contract and he started asking me all this stuff and whatever, and he was like, and then I kind of told him how everything worked. And he goes, oh, you're talking to me thinking what I do is dickhead work. He goes, you're coming into that conversation with that. I was like, yeah, man, I don't think you're going to do jack shit for me. It's like, I just want you to know that. That's what I'm going into this conversation with. And he goes, oh, shit. Yeah, so you're coming in a bad taste already about what I do. All right, well, I'm going to help try to correct that. But yeah, he goes, now I understand what we're doing. It's like, yeah, I don't. Might have could tell by the tone or something. I don't know, but like, yeah, I don't think you're gonna do anything for me, dude. I don't think y'all do anything.
Dylan, I'm gonna level with you. It's not hard to pick up when you have asshole tone. Yeah.
And he was, yeah. So I think he'll be able to help me more with Milton than he will with Helene. And he said that too. He's like, yeah, like I'll be frank, Helene. You know, the stuff in the flood, you kind of have to. We're gonna have to make you whole with the insurance. So you're gonna probably have. Probably won't be able to help you too much with them, but with Milton was
the second one.
Milton was the second one. That was wind damage, so that was mostly roof and the fence outside. He goes, I'll be able to help you get more on that one since you never had a claim with Citizens before. That's not where the flood policy or you have to make whole. That was the first time you ever filed a claim with them. I can help you with that one more. He goes, I'll still go through all the details and the previous guy's stuff and all. We'll see what we can do. But you know, he also said, if I can't get you anything for that, I'll do all this work for you, but I won't charge you for anything if I can't get you anything either.
That's nice.
The guy last time too, my previous public adjuster, I even said like, hey man, I have to file another claim for Milton because I got a roof and this problem. That original guy literally told me, yeah, I don't really make money off of those, so I don't do those. The new public adjuster said, he told you that? He like really said that? And I was like, yeah, man, that's why I've told you I don't think you're going to do anything. So, and he's like, oh, gee, you're coming in with a bad taste on these on us. I was like, yeah, dude, make me a believer.
Like, the money situation, like, are you going to be able to roll that into the mortgage? Do they allow you to do that?
No. Nope. I mean, I might be able to, but what I'm basically going to do is funding most of it now, and then I'll take out a loan probably with SoFi. And then once I can get renters in there, which will hopefully looks like I could do it pretty quickly. We've been looking at everything. That takes care of that mortgage cost, and I can take that money and put that towards paying off the loan pretty quickly. You know? And then it's the pain is paying for the mortgage and we're not even staying in it, and having to do all this other stuff. So if I can get the renters in there when the mortgage is taken care of, I can pay off things pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Right. That's the
Yeah.
pain.
There's something twisted about like I had stuff fixed on the house, that was backed up from when we moved or whatever. And this one spot that Kai damaged from water damage, I was like, man, I should really replace that. And I couldn't find the flooring. I just put it on the back burner. When we moved here, because the handyman just did, I think a fifth grader could have done a better job. Like, honestly, you just took some tool and just routed it out as crude as you could be and just ripped shit out of the closet, just kind of mashed it down. So, of course, you got to do that. Like, the worst part about it is forecasting. I'm like, between that, the painters, the outside shit, the rotten wood, I'm like, I'm not making a profit on this house for 18 months.
Mm.
That's just fixing shit for someone to live in there. And I get it. They're paying my mortgage, whatever. But I mean, something else happens and it just continues to back up that timeline. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And for this too, kind of how we're building it out this time is like, let's say it does flood inside the house this time again. It's kind of more of a cookie cutter type of thing.
Mm,
And I'm making the insurance whole this time, right? So next time, because once this project, I'm taking pictures as I go through the project. So now I send it to the insurance company, like literally not everything has been redone.
yeah.
Everything. So now they have to cover full 100% next time,
Yeah.
whatever happens, right?
Yeah.
And with the contractors I'm working with, affordable, say that. And then it's a lot, we're putting vinyl in. It's not going to be hardwood floors. It's going to be regular drywall, da da da. So it's
Mm,
just cutting it out, putting it back in, putting the vinyl back in, and cookie cutter.
sure.
How we're doing it this time, right? A lot easier going through the process if needed. But with the house, everyone's starting to build up around there. All these other homes got destroyed, so they're getting torn down. The idea is can I hold out for all these other homes that are being built up in the area, and the property value goes up in the area, and
Short
eventually
term pain, long term gain.
correct, and just see if I can
Yeah.
hold out on it and just rent it out. Because everyone's moving to St. Pete. No one's really can afford to live in St. Pete for buying a home because they're so expensive. But tons of people want to rent
Mm-hmm.
because they want to live in the area. So
Yeah.
with the house also being completely remodeled, it's not like I'm slapping Band-Aid over something, right? People are
Sure.
going to be looking for a nice house to rent in the area. Short Acres is a nice community to live in. They're going to see, this is a fully remodeled house. I'd rather
Yeah.
live in this than the cookie cutter, where
Sure.
they just Band-Aided it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, Godspeed on that, man. Sounds
yeah,
like,
it's just like everyone in the permitting office is like from that over there, in that area trying to get their house remodeled. And I tell you what, like, it's kind of interesting too, because you got to be careful what you see online, because you're on the neighborhood things and people are complaining about the permitting process and da da da. They're awful. Da da da. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't fun. I'm going to sit in a government building and waiting my turn on things. And you get this portion done here, and then you move over to this process. It's bureaucracy trying to get it done, but they weren't like maliciously trying to hurt me. They were
yeah.
literally like, hey, you need to do this. You need to do this. Once you do this, you can do this. And it's like, okay, as long as you follow the steps and have a little patience, like they're they're trying to help you.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to be like, if I could definitely tell they get drained by people they have to probably deal with. And I even saw that in there, like some like contractors in there that were like, I'm gonna lose this job, like yelling at them. Da, 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 and they're like,
Yeah.
you missed this on the paperwork, or you missed this, and da da da. Da. And so
Dude, my thing is like anytime I have to deal with government bureaucracy shit, even like calling like had to get my license the other day or whatever. And something was off about that. I'm like trying to go through stuff and I'm asking the guy questions. He was like, I know, man. He's like, I wish it was better too. And I was like, hey, dude, the way I look at this, I'm like, I hope this is the hardest problem you have to deal with all day. Like, that's my go to line. I'm like, let's figure this out together. I'll get you whatever you need. And he's like,
he
thank
said
you.
the same thing. He goes, yeah. He's like, looking at all my paperwork, and he goes, I'm sorry, man, if I sound drained, dude. Like, I have to deal with this all day. And then and I was like, I get it. I'm the last type of thing you wanted to see towards the end of your office day. He was like, no, it's not it. And I go, you don't have to admit it. I see it. That's okay, man. I told him, I don't want to be here either. But you're here to help me. And I thank God for that.
Yeah.
That you're here
Dude,
for it.
you know what's hysterical? I got this from my buddy T Max. We were checking into some hotel or something, and something was off, right? And I remember it was a hotel situation because I know you can relate to that, right?
Yeah.
And so they were like, no, we can't do that. And he was like, pretty sure you can. I don't remember what it was, like an upgrade or something, like something they got to go through a rigmarole to get through. And they're giving us pushback, and he was like, hey, listen, it's literally your job to help me. And I don't know if you decided to show up to work today not to do your job, but here we are. Okay. I get it. I don't want to be a problem. You don't want to deal with problems. Just helping you understand it's your job to deal with problems. That's what you get paid for.
In the job description of yours,
like,
solve problems.
I get it. We're not just showing up and checking in because something happened and we didn't get what we asked for. It's like, nope, this is your problem and I need you to do it. They're just like, oh. They walked away and he's like, do people just show up to work fucking hoping they don't have to do their job? It's not.
I remember too when I would work in the hotels, like, because I would be a manager, I was a manager, and sometimes you just get employees that would want to figure it out or whatever. Yeah. And I'd go there and figure it out, and he'd be like, no, and I go, no, I get it. It's my job. I'm going to tell you. I will tell you if we can't do it. It's like, if I can't do it for you, I want to promise you it ain't getting done. So right. I had to work it through. Most of the time I could figure it out, and a couple of times I was just like, can't be done. Like, and they're like, what? And I go, I'm not going to kick someone else out of a room just so you get a room of whatever you want. It's not my fault you booked the single when you needed the double.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like I booked a double. See, that's the fun part about technology is there's a tracking record, and that track record shows that you fucked up. It's not us.
The worst though is booking.com. When you have someone
trying to explain that to people. Well, I booked the double or whatever, and hey, it's you trying to explain the third party stuff to people. They just can't grasp it.
And why would you? If you don't travel often.
Yeah. Trying to explain to people that like they don't realize when they book. By the way, anyone that's listening, when you book a third party, Expedia, Booking, whatever, when you book through Expedia.com, that doesn't finalize your booking process. That means someone at Expedia, whether it's their AI technology or some intern sitting there at some desk somewhere, has to then go and book it again through the actual website. All you're doing is paying a little fee to then book it for somebody else to book it for you.
Isn't that the wild part too? 9 times out of 10, you're paying more to potentially get fucked on the check-in.
9 times out of 10. The only way that the third parties work best is when the hotel companies leverage them to book like same day stuff. Like, hey, here's a special discount. If you can get this room filled, we'll tell them it's 40% off or something. We just need to get full occupancy. That's all we're looking for. That's the only way third parties are best is if you're doing like same day stuff. You can find some discounts. If you're booking a month or 2 out, go to the actual freaking website of the thing. And you get, by the way, anybody else, if the hotel becomes full and someone else, and now there's one room left between you and another person, and that other person booked through the actual website and you got booking.com, you bet we kicked the third party people off. Sorry, you're getting walked. Because it's not you're booking.com's guest. You're not my guest. The person that booked through my website is my guest, not the booking.com.
Other thing I was curious about is like speaking of discounts and prices, how about these tariffs?
Yeah, I've been too busy to kind of really look into them, but
I haven't looked into it a ton either.
far as I know, they're starting to work because Judo, Budo, whatever his name is up there, Trudeau has started to follow up with Trump. I've seen in the news that like, hey man, what can we do about these tariffs? Like, yeah, he's got a problem with the tariffs now. Sure, he does.
Well, the thing that's funny about it is, yeah, I keep saying this. I really need to sign up for that independent news thing. I don't remember. It was a sponsor of Tim Ferriss's podcast. And
Yeah,
so when you're trying to get news, because like right now it's like the fog of war, that saying. It's like the fog of war with information between Democrats and Republicans and whatever. So this site will essentially it'll tell you, hey, is this one factual or two opinionated? And then it also gives you a percent of lean. So whether it's left leaning, right leaning,
sure.
and so you can kind of tweak it in the settings. It'll give you settings. It's like, hey, what do you? So you're in control of your echo chamber,
Yeah,
essentially. And so you can be kind of like right down the middle, but also like when you're reading stuff, it tells you, hey, this is pointing this direction, that direction. Because I don't know, the thing about the tariffs, I'm like, it it's such a wildly bold move. It's
it's a
watching the man.
negotiation power. It's leveraging something for negotiation power.
It's I mean, here's the deal. It's someone playing poker on a global level.
Well, he's also taking advantage of because we've outsourced so many of our jobs in our production and developing things. Right, we've outsourced all that. We're a what does that call it? We're a consumer country now. We're not a developing production
We have the highest
country.
GDP in the world.
Yeah, but from technology. We're not actually like
Sure.
developing things. We haul in wood from a lot of places. We haul in steel from so many places. We're not.
How do you get GDP, Dylan?
Dude, look up all what I'm talking about, man. Where,
I
where
know what you're
are
talking
iPhones?
about.
Where are iPhones created? They're created in fucking China. Where
Sure.
are everything that we buy and usually consume? It all says China, Indonesia, Turkey, wherever. Right
Mhm.
now, we have a high GDP because we're creating the consulting jobs. We're creating the tech, developing the tech jobs. We're creating.
The iPhone's a great example. Produced in China. Who reaps the margin on it being sold, though? It's not China.
Yeah, but we still have to pay China to develop those, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Correct.
But who gets all the jobs by the people employed by Apple?
Sure. But here's where I'm going with what I'm saying on this is
Mhm.
okay, whoever your country is doing very well because our country is willing to pay your people to develop these things. All right. If
Yeah,
you're
when you're talking
going
about production jobs, I'm with you on the production. I mean, here's the
going
deal.
if you're going to then get mad at us and try to take advantage of, great. I'll add a tariff on it because now I'll add a tariff of what you're sending back here into the country to us because
Mhm.
we'd rather produce it here ourselves. Oh, well, you can't do that. I just did. So now what what our company is going to do is because now it's more costly. The reason why it's in your country is because it's cheaper to develop it there and then I can sell it here. But now it's going to be more costly to have it there and then send it back than it is just for them to open a factory here and develop it. Well, you can't do that. I just did. And guess what they're creating here? Whoa. Because now your country's going to go poor. Because now
Mhm.
your country is built on developing cheap shit for
Well,
me so you can
that's
sell
the
it
part
here.
I'm curious about. So I'm showing up to this with more curiosity than animosity, to be
Sure.
frank, because I think, a lot of people would look at this and go, "Hey, if you put a staggered plan like the 25% tariffs that he just put in, um, the irony is him saying, I can't believe this deal is so bad,' and he's the one that put the deal in place in 2018. So all that aside, putting like a staggered, like, hey, it's going to be 10% next year, it's going to be 15%. So knowing by the end of his term that these things are being built in, because it shocks the economy. When you have a Ford truck go from 80,000 to 100,000 overnight.
Yeah, it did that anyways the past 4 years, even how it was set up. So who cares how it gets shocked? It got shocked the past 4 years and prices went up continuously. I'd rather it get shocked at least with there a game plan in place. Before there wasn't even a game plan in place and prices were going up for nothing.
Dude,
I'd rather there be some sort of game plan and reason for it being shocked.
the highest tariffs in the last 25 years started during Trump's presidency, and the
Good,
prices went up. It didn't
good.
change anything. Just the prices went up.
Here's the thing, man. I don't really care. It's all expensive at the moment, anyways.
I know.
It's so expensive, anyways, right now. Who cares? Oh,
I
prices
know.
up a little bit. It's going. It's not like the prices are going down. Like the prices are going up, anyways. At least there's some sort of game plan of something. At least the price is going up, and there's a negotiation.
What
The
I'm
price
trying to itch out here is, Dylan, check it
price is
out.
up with no negotiation happening. It's
Step
just
into fantasy land with me for a second.
the rest of the world was
What?
just keep raising it. They don't give a shit. They're gonna pay it.
Listen for a second. Here's what I'm curious about, okay? And I say this with all the trepidation in my heart. Because I'm with you. He's our fucking president. Whatever he's doing, what am I going to do? Write a fucking letter to my congressman and tell, hey, be more pissed off. Write more shit on whiteboards during your sessions. Yeah, that'll change stuff. What I'm curious about is,
Yeah, those are so stupid.
okay, it's like, hey, shout a little bit more when they say decorum. It's like, if you scream, I'll feel seen. It's like, whatever.
I'm stupid.
What if it doesn't work? Like, what I'm most kind of afraid of is hyperinflation, because the Doge thing has great intentions, and this is the fog of war. Like, is it actually, cutting a bunch of stuff, or they saving money? Like, you got the elite chess game going on, right? They're like, we need to save a lot of money. We need money. I mean, we gotta figure out how to keep our money, and we're spending on the credit card. So it's amazing watching them do this little Russian doll game of like, well, fuck, damn, there's
Well,
no
what's
problem
great
there.
too is they're playing it, but they're being very transparent about it all. So like, it's
They're
very
not. I guarantee they're not. Guarantee on everything on my life they're
a
not.
lot more than I've ever seen. I'll tell you
Oh,
that.
100%. You're right on that. You
Not
are right on that.
every single penny or every single little thing,
Yeah.
but it's cool to watch it in the public eye a little bit more. I mean, even Zelensky in the Oval Office, where they started arguing and everything. Like, how often you get to see that? Well, two
That was trippy, right?
get to and you get to see behind the scenes a little bit what's going on.
Oh, dude, you know what? Abby and I were talking about this the other day. You know what I can't stand, though? The Trump character, the character he plays, whatever. We asked for this in 2018. We are also tired of politics. Everyone went, let's press the red button. Sure. Whether it was Kamala or Trump this time around, you had to play at it. Everybody has different opinions on that, whatever. JD Vance is such a little bitch. God damn, he's a little bitch.
I don't think so. I think he's
Dude, all the shit here.
I don't think
the way
so.
he talks right now. Have you seen the montage of all the shit he used to talk about Trump? And then Trump goes, "Hey, baby boy, want to kiss that ring for daddy? You want some power? You want some little power, JD Vance? You want some?"
They all
like,
dude. They all
no,
use.
then he's calling out Zelensky on some bullshit. It's that Trump's not really playing character. This dude lives.
Watching him talk and go against a lot and debate and rebuttals against a lot of what's been thrown at JD Vance, he is very good at that. He is very good.
Better than
talking about
who's the governor of Florida? DeSantis.
Definitely better than DeSantis at that for sure.
I had such high hopes for DeSantis. I really thought, I was like,
once he was wearing the high heel boots, I'd lost it there. I was like, hey man,
it wasn't like Jeb Bush. Do you remember when Jeb was trying to make a run at it, and all the behind the curtain people, Kraft, and they're like Coca-Cola, they're like, oh, we got a puppet here, and he had like $150 million war chest, and then I think the meme that took him down was, please clap. It's just that. Please clap. I don't know.
Everyone was tired of the Bushes. So, but like, no, I think I like JD Vance in that position because I've watched him articulate things a lot better than what we've seen from a VP in the past, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years. He's been a lot better of articulating things. Plus, he's I feel like, if you were to put someone in training coming up through the process, I think he's pretty good at that. I don't know. I have a different point of view with him, but
a pundit that I've listened to a couple podcasts now. It's like, this dude really turned a leaf.
Look at Steve watch the episode of Steve Bannon on Tim Dillon. That's a really good episode.
Okay, I'll check it out.
That's a really, really good one.
Tucker Carlson. I don't know if you've listened to any of his podcasts as of late.
Not as of lately. No, I kind of.
I used to put him on par with the televangelist, like the amount of bullshit he would spew. I mean, you could see the hand up his ass, puppeting just propaganda. Yeah, not even propaganda, right? It's just that poison.
I think back in the day with Fox he was, but that was one of the main reasons why he broke away from Fox, because he was like, I'm tired of having the hand up my ass.
Oh, it wasn't broke away. They fired him.
He was like, I'm tired of this.
That money was good. He wasn't like, I'm going to step away for no reason. They were like, I don't know, you grew a brain or something. You started free thinking. I don't know. They fired him. But I guess after that, they woke him up. I listened to a couple podcasts where, he talked about that. And he was like, now he's just a little bit more center. I wouldn't say independent, a little bit more center. And the funny thing is, I was talking to Mike about this the other day. And there's a couple good things I want to bring up about that. But politics feels like, it's like you left high school. And in high school, it's like drama. And I've never been a guy that's like really about drama. Like it just doesn't do anything for me. It's like college, there's a little bit of that, but whatever. You're a young adult. You don't care what people think of you. You're trying to figure out the world. Everything's going fast. And then I had these like golden years, from like 22 to like 27, 28, where it's like I didn't care. I made enough money. I had a CPA, whatever, but it was kind of like once I broke through 6 figures, it was like, okay, anything's possible. And now setting my sights on, continuing to grow, trying to make more money, acquire more assets, whatever. It's like the drama pulls you right back in. The politics is like, you have to care. To what level you care, it's up to you, right?
I don't even really care about the politics. I just feel like I'm trying to break away from the rat race, and the rat race keeps pulling you back down. And it's like, no, we help you get here. You're making enough money for us. You can keep paying us a nice little tax fee every year. We don't want you to break away from that. We don't want you to figure out all the other shit.
Dude, our taxes this year.
You're like, I want to, though. I want to get out of this.
I could not believe how much money the government took from us this year. Being W4, I mean, we had bases and then commission, but like.
Welcome to W2 life, baby.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is this about? You get a standard deduction and write off the interest on your home. That's it. Like a couple other things. Sure.
It's like all year it's patting you on the back trying to get that burp out. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And instead of going, they just snap your neck.
That's exactly what it was. When, I talked to an accountant because I did all the stuff through, Free File or whatever, like the federal thing version of TurboTax, instead of paying however much, whatever. So I paid for the service, and then the accountant's going through it, and I was like, hey, I just want to make sure, like, I really feel like I'm missing something here. She looked through everything. She goes, nope.
I've always thought that too. I've always thought that too. In the back of my mind, when they say like, "No, everything's here," they're like, "No, I mean, you are missing a lot." But I don't want to do all the work trying to get that. Like for example, I talk with a lot of clients about it's the FICA tip credit, right, for restaurants. If no one knows what it is, it's basically if you have restaurant employees, if you're profitable, if your restaurant's profitable, and your employees take tips, you can for those tips that you pay out through the credit cards and stuff and some cash, you can get credits, a really nice significant tax credit for paying your employees tips out on that, right? And a lot of people don't know about it. And so I'll bring it up like, hey, are you doing that? Because it's something we do for our clients. And they go, oh, yeah, my accountant takes care of that. And I go, I bet you a free service they don't do that. And they're like, what? And I go, your account, how long does it take your accountant to do your taxes for the restaurant? And he goes, a few days. And I go, they have to go through every single receipt of every one of your employees to make sure that the tips credit is done. And I go, do you know how long that takes? And I go, way more expensive than probably what you're paying your accountant for. And I go, bring it up to your accountant. Bring it up to them. Because if they've never brought it up to you, there's a reason for it, because they don't want to do it. It's annoying. Yeah. It's a tedious It's a tedious process. And I go, it's not like it's not like you're a majority of you're their biggest client, so they're going to take care of it for you.
Yeah.
Right. They have bigger clients that they can work with and do this. And they're like, oh, and then of course they go talk to them and then they don't. Right. Or they
Yeah.
charge up the ass to do it for them. But it's just
But
one of those things of that, like, oh, there's always something there. They're just not going to tell you about it because they don't want to really do it. I'm just going to make sure he's legally getting something done and push it through.
That's what I loved about my accountant. She would give me kind of like 3 levels. She always knew I like to play at the yellow to green. She's like kind of like, technically, this is, I was like, all right, so let's take the technically out of it. Like, what are we firmly in? She's like, well, do you have all the paperwork to back this up? And I'm like, on record, yes. She's like, all right, yeah, we'll go that route. As long as she's like, they come knocking, you can back this up. And I'm like, I got the receipts. She goes, I'm like, hey, where do I sign? What do we do there? You know?
See, what's nice is if you have a natural disaster that wipes out a lot of your stuff, you go, sorry.
Yeah,
Natural
I wonder. I bet the IRS doesn't give a fuck. I bet they don't.
I'm gonna be like, I don't give a shit about you either, but here's where we're at. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. It's that game of how much do I owe you? I don't know. You better figure it out.
Tell me.
And if you get it wrong, I'm gonna charge you interest. Like, what? Why can't you just tell me? No, you figure it out, and then a year from now, I'm gonna make sure you know.
It's like a little kid. Yeah. Yeah. I don't wanna.
Dude, anytime I got letters from the IRS, my asshole would get so tight. You see that seal? And then every time it was just like, hey, you forgot to turn in this form. I'm like,
I got one years later. My dad, I guess I had claimed myself as independent or something, but my dad had claimed me as a dependent. I don't know. There was a thing, and my dad said he got a letter from the IRS years later that was like, "Oh yeah, you owe us like $2K," because it wasn't like I was making a lot of money back then, but it was like in this situation, you owe $2K. We both kind of ignored it. Enough time went by. The IRS finally sent me a letter. It was like, no, we haven't forgot about that. You still owe us for that situation.
yeah.
But it was just funny that it was like, it's such a minuscule amount. They're like, yeah, I guess we'll send them a letter 10 years later. Like, he still owes us for it. We're not going to let it go. But
Well, when Abby and I got married and we started going through all the financial stuff, and I saw some taxes and stuff that was outstanding, I was like, hey, what are we doing about that? And she was like, yeah, I got to get around to it. I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is a bad rash that gets worse. Okay, this isn't that. This is a cavity right now. Okay, we're gonna fix this cavity because this will turn into a root canal. Okay, this does not go away.
I just want the what was it? So I saw something. Someone joked about one time. He was like, you know what? No matter what, you know what's great about this country? You just file bankruptcy. Hit that restart.
You know what I feel bad about, and I'm not going to say his name on this podcast, but you and I both, we know this guy, we know this fellow very well. Okay, and I had a conversation with him probably every bit of 7 years ago, and he's bad off. All right. And this is one of those victims of circumstance when you are doing better in life financially than someone else, and you have developed these principles that have guided you there, right? Whether it's a sense of integrity, always paying back your debts, et cetera, et cetera. And we're having a very real conversation in that twilight hour after the party, before the after kind of kicks off, before you decide to see the sun come up. So you're very lucid. Okay. You're like, hey, we're in the pocket right now of vulnerability, having a very real conversation.
That's where I like to make decisions.
Right.
Right there.
And he confesses that I think I need to declare bankruptcy. And so for the next 40 minutes, I'm trying to convince him that he shouldn't. And looking back, I'm like, I hope that conversation wasn't the pivotal thing that made him decide he shouldn't. Because when I look back, dude, when you're 40 grand in debt and you're making 60 grand a year, you're not climbing out of that hole. No student loans, all bullshit credit, whatever.
Oh, I was gonna say, that sounds like student loans in there.
No,
Oh, oof.
no, that's because it's just credit card stuff, right?
Yeah.
But because I had just bought a home and I'm building other assets, I'm looking at how if I had done something like that, would have impacted that. But not everybody's not on the same timeline.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, at that point, you just cut off your card and call a credit card company. I ain't paying you back, so if you want a little bit, we can negotiate on that.
Yeah. It's like that Dave Ramsey bullshit, you know? It's like I saw a clip the other day. He was celebrating some woman that paid off $110,000 in debt.
Wow. Holy cow.
If that woman declared bankruptcy, she didn't leverage doing the Dave Ramsey shit. She didn't leverage credit to bring in that income. However she brought in that income is how she brought in that income. That means that she just set herself back $110,000 over the course of 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So if she were declared bankruptcy, she'd have $100,000 in her account.
Man, bankruptcy, that is talk about a red tape on you for a while, though. You know, that's
depending on what you're trying to do.
I mean, that's true. But I mean, like, it's hard to even rent, you know, like with red tape. It's hard to get a car with red tape. I mean, that's the black mark, you know. Now you can work and negotiate and buy things off of Facebook Marketplace to get around all that for a while, like sure.
The thing is, though, like when I look back, it's like if you are at the point where you're thinking about declaring bankruptcy, and I would say if someone's in like 20-30 grand in debt,
and you don't have and you don't already have assets, because if you declare bankruptcy, you have to get rid of. Believe you have to turn over your assets in that situation, like hand over everything that you mostly have.
Yeah.
So like, if you don't really have assets and it's just you're renting everything, hopefully you own your car outright by that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it might be a good move for some people, but
I think in some cases it's the right move. I would not say a majority of cases.
That's what it's there for. It's like reset button. Hit that button.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was. You're just like, I declare. Oh yeah, from The Office when he's like financially the manager. He's like financially problems. Someone tells him about bankruptcy, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "I just have to declare it." So he just walks out of the office and goes, "I declare bankruptcy." They're like, "That's not how that works." That's how they told me it works, so that's how I did it.
I don't know. So it kind of goes back to that game, right? Like when we're talking about like CPAs or whatever, you know, the America's leaders and stuff. It's like
also Tim Dillon. It's kind of interesting too. You can just walk away from things. Like Tim Dillon's talked about it before, where he said, before he got famous, he had bought a home with a pretty minimum income, and he was doing pretty well. And then something happened, and he lost that job and things. He's like, I couldn't afford the house. He's like, I just walked away from the house. I don't know what happened to that house. He goes, I just stopped paying the mortgage. Did they call me every day? And sure, but like, what are they going to do? You know, like I just ignore the calls. He goes,
that is the definition of a foreclosure.
Yeah, he's just like, I just left it. Someone else got it. I don't know who has it anymore, but he goes, people forget that you could just like, if it's causing you more pain than good, just walk away from the problem. And you don't have to keep paying.
That's a lifestyle, though. The problem is
it's a form of bankruptcy on yourself. Now that's going to hurt you because now you're going to be delinquent on payments, and there's going to go to collections and But
after 7 years, it'll fall off.
It'll fall off, and eventually the payments, the collection kind of stops after a while because eventually the foreclosure happens and someone picks it up. So now someone else owns that mortgage.
I negotiated a collection. I won't say for who, but I negotiated a collection, and I did so much research on this. I even listened to a guy's call recording with his financial information redacted of the exact script of what you say when you call it. So I'm like, I printed out a script to read because you have to be very specific, because if you call and inquire.
I went to collections on my medical stuff years ago. All my stuff went there, and I had to call them and be like, hey, I'm here to negotiate. And they're like, well, you can pay this. And I go, hey, I'm calling to negotiate with you. I can hang up the phone right now and you get nothing. How about that? You want to, what do we want to do? And I go, there's multiple bills here we got to work on. It ain't just one. And they're like, and I go, yeah, I mean,
falls in
you
your
got
court.
another about $500 before you got to keep going down. You know,
Yeah.
maybe you get them down to like $100 or something.
But dude,
Whatever.
I was sweating bullets on the, making sure, because if you say the wrong thing, then it restarts the clock before it falls off while the stuff or whatever. And the lady was just super chill. She was like, you pay for it in full. And I don't remember what the letter is. You have to get a letter of whatever, basically saying that the debt was, the collection was invalid. It never should have been there. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's if you pay it in full or you negotiate with them, but then you have a collection on your account for 4 years until it drops off. And I was like, hey, but if I just pay for it, can I get the letter? And she was like, yeah, I'll have it to you in 30 minutes. Thank you. Cool.
It's like, you sell everything, get rid of all your problems, get a little bit of cash, buy a van, and go follow fish around the country.
Dylan, tell me, how present is that thought for you right now?
I
You
mean, I'm
texted me
always
that earlier today. I feel like you are yearning for a hostile front desk worker just
the trails
checking
are
in.
like, why, send that to you. Why do I have to have a drive? Why do I have to want to better myself? Why do I have to want to better my family? Why do I have to keep moving forward? Why does that drive have to be in place? Why can't I be the guy that's lazy and be whatever, and the debt doesn't feel like a problem to me or whatever, And you always see that, right? Like, where wealthy people are like, I envy the homeless because they have nothing they have to worry about, right? And you even have some wealthy people that pretend to be homeless just to live like that for a week or two or whatever, right? But like, it's just, you're trying to, like we were talking about earlier, trying to get out of that rat race is insane, But then again, I want to be that guy too. Where at Burning Man with the freaking X stage, there was that one guy that's funding the entire thing. They're like, who's that guy? No one really knows. He's just a super wealthy hippie that wants to have bass in his face. It doesn't care how it gets there. Here's the money. Make it happen.
The funny part is, though, it's like I went to the like a personal development thing, fit for service, and I had this long car ride with this guy as we're driving out into the desert, and I was like, "What do you do?" And we're talking about work, and he busted his ass at real estate for like 4 or 5 years and found his niche and kind of like wholesaling, flipping, remodeling, and he put a team in place, and it's kind of on autopilot. And I was like, "So, what are you hoping to get out of this? Like, are you trying to network or whatever?" He's like, "No, man, I just reached the point like." I don't know what I'm doing in my life. Like, I make pretty good money and make multiple six figures, but like I have no purpose. I was like, did you have purpose when you're working? And he's like, oh yeah, tons. Like, I was trying to get to this point. Now I'm at this point, and I kind of miss not being at this point because now I got to figure out like, what do I? He's like, I fucking hate real estate now. He's like, I have all the time in the world. I can do whatever I want to an extent, but he's like, I'm not rich. And he's like, I saw it in my head to get to this place where I had autonomy and now have enough money to fund the lifestyle that's like kind of this in between weird thing. But he's like, if I want to make millions of dollars, that's not happening here. He's like, I got to figure out the next thing. I'm like, it's just so weird. There's always problems, bro.
I feel like too, though, when you get in that position, right? Like, he's been successful up to, in the real estate market and done what he's done. I feel like, though, making a transition to something that you might want to do is a lot easier than it's not in that position, because now you've proven yourself.
Oh,
Really, that's what companies are looking for when they're hiring somebody. I just want to know. I don't care if you've never done this before.
Yeah.
I want to know, can you learn it quickly?
Yeah.
And will you do it if I teach you?
Yeah.
Basically. And that's why I try to explain. A lot of people are getting into the job market. And I go, that's why your interview process is so important, because they don't know who you are. Your resume sucks because you have nothing on it. So you have nothing to show. I've done well at something to show I can learn quickly. I go, that's what college is. The college isn't about really technically, it is about learning, but college is really just to show that you can put your mind to something and do well and learn quickly.
I thought of it as like learning how to learn, because I was working a full-time job while going to school, trying to maintain a social life. And so it's like I had to learn how to learn material quicker than other people and get better at my job so I could pay for the thing that I thought I needed, which was a degree. And at the end of the day, all it really taught me is that drug dealers have it best for a couple years at least, till the popo catches up with you.
Drug dealers have it great. At least there's definitely a minimum lifespan there. That's why that's why
If it was an
movies.
oven, as long as you aren't on high, as long as you aren't burning bright, if you're nice like medium high, not
That's why
alluding to them getting high on their own supply. That's the number one rule. We don't do that. We're talking about Fight Club, but like you gotta stay in the pocket, as they say.
that's why drug dealers don't have biographies; they have documentaries.
Yeah,
It's just to
Mic
talk
drop.
about this portion. It's not about the whole life. That's the little portion right here. It was a fun time, right here during this time frame.
There's a famous rapper that stole a name from a drug dealer. I'll leave that as a cliffhanger. We'll title the episode that. That'll be the title.
Eminem.
Anyway, folks, hey, we love you out there. Thanks for cruising along with us as we just kind of explore random topics. But next week we should have a guest on, a couple people waiting to hear back from. But being here in Denver, and we have the Psychedelic Science Conference coming up. I got a promo code coming for you on that. Stay tuned. Talking to a couple of representatives from the MAPS organization, so we can secure an official affiliation with that. And if that's something you're interested in attending, it is the world's largest psychedelic conference. Yours truly will be there. And if you pay me enough money, I'll let you camp on my lawn.
Talk about people that you think it's all love. Everyone's happy in agreement. It's probably like the most disagreement you'll ever see over psychedelics is at the psychedelic conference.
They're like holding court with themselves, man. Trying to get a bunch of hippies and moving in the same direction. You got a better chance of herding cats. Anyway, we love you guys. Till next week. Peace.